Surprised and disdainful looks were not long in coming when they saw the humble lady enter that bank. A secretary called security to remove her, but she had no idea what such humiliation would cost her. Dona Priscilla, a humble, hard-working lady who was passionate about country life, despite the wealth and money she might have, never got used to the pressure for luxury or the speed of the city. Priscilla was the only child of a humble farmer couple who lived quietly in a farmhouse after the rice harvest. They received a large sum of money as a return on their investment. However, that same afternoon, some bandits appeared taking his money. Priscilla's father was upset that they took the product of his effort without compassion. One of the thieves, while her father was complaining about what happened, ended his life in front of her and her mother. That experience has never been forgotten. Shortly after, he saw Yulia, his mother, working and crying inconsolably over his father's body, which was on the floor. She stood energetically in a corner of the house, scared because she felt completely unprotected in her father's absence. Soon after, Yulia, the mother, became responsible for all the businesses that her father had built on the farm. He began to manage crops, expenses, and develop more talent. All this under the inspiration of continuing to fight for the well-being of her daughter, who was still a child. When she lost money from the previous harvest, she had to visit a bank, but when she visited them, they denied her loans and the reasons were unjustifiable, such as because she was a woman at work and needed her husband to prove her and because she was a humble peasant. This discrimination at the bank put her in real danger, threatening her job and even her finances. Seeing this situation, the mother had no choice but to lease her land. The gain was incredibly minor. However, Yulia had no other option, because the need prevailed at that moment and the most important thing was to bring food and sustenance to her little Priscilla. Thus, 10 years passed and the little girl was a 14-year-old lady. Faced with the need, she had to work after leaving school. He skillfully devoted himself to whatever his work reflected. Another 7 years went by like this, when they got it again, save a considerable amount of money to cultivate your own land. Very excited to showcase their talents on their properties and reinforce their skills, they reported what happened to the person who rented the land, so he can remove his stuff. However, upon hearing the news, the Lord was not happy and, grimacing, he became so angry that he cursed the women and even sent thieves into their house at night while they slept, stealing the money they had saved and thus continuing to rent out their houses. Land at a cheap price. That's how, when they tried to break into the house, Priscilla recognized one of the thieves, understanding and confirming that her father's absence in her life was due to that man she had rented a long time ago. Indeed, envy and exploitation with these proofs. The girl confirmed that the person who had rented the land was responsible for her father's death. They searched everywhere, changed everything and never found the money, because the young woman's audacity put her a few steps ahead. Having this situation, they had to leave empty-handed after the discussion with the Lord, to whom they leased the land. Priscilla became suspicious of the situation and convinced her mother to bury the savings somewhere. By doing so, they were able to extricate themselves from this predicament. Soon, they were investing in their farms with the help of their neighbors. 15 years passed, and with the intention of growing into real estate, Priscilla went to the bank to get a loan, but they denied her because she was humble. The young woman, very furious, told everyone that in the face of so much humiliation and injustice, they would create a bank from which all farmers could withdraw money to invest and grow. Her mother and friend laughed at the crazy idea. Priscilla, determined to do so, played the lottery from time to time, not having so much luck. Although after 20 years of playing with that ticket, everything would be very different. Well, it did, and it won the lottery. The first thing he did with the money was buy the off-road truck his elderly mother had dreamed of all her life. Priscilla consulted and invested the rest of the money in the purse, built her new house and expanded her lands. Finally, he managed to diversify his crops and, little by little, his fortune increased. Soon after, she visited the luxurious bank she had just been rejected from. She collapsed there in the most humble way possible, drawing gazes from everyone who looked her over from head to toe. The manager asked security to remove her from the institution because of her appearance, alluding that Priscilla had arrived on horseback. Being thus a danger, the woman began to develop what she had in mind. He approached customer service, requesting a ticket. They gave it to him, but the manager kept insisting because it looked bad. He sat down to wait his turn. The manager, irritated by the woman's appearance, decided to go in person and ask her to leave. There was a scandal at that moment. The manager did not recognize herself and started screaming when, faced with so much noise, the general manager of the entire store came down from the office who, in his intense scream, sent everyone gathered in the discussion to their place. They immediately released him. The general manager apologized to Priscilla, who owns 85% of the bank and is the largest shareholder. Priscilla took the opportunity to say very emphatically that from now on, they would have to get used to treating everyone with total kindness, especially the humble people from the countryside, because that would open up a special regime for them. She then ordered the line manager to be demoted because she didn't know how to be a good front line. They sent her to the agricultural area. The manager mentioned that she was going to resign, but they reminded her that she owed a large debt to the institution, making it impossible for her to retire. The following week, the former manager, now a customer service employee, started to serve the farmers in the best way because she understood that people are not made for clothes, good looks or good impressions, but to judge them you have to go a certain distance on your way and, above all, meet them. Hope you enjoyed the story. Leave your like and comment something about your feeling.